Well,
Halloween.
for all of you who have tuned in, these are the energies that are sporadic. We don't know what the hell's going on, but we soon will. This is Medicine Women Reveal. I am Brenda Bates, Medicine Woman. And yes, let me have my intro.
Okay.
It's Medicine Women Reveal, and if he ever gets his license, he'll be a medicine man. But the medicine people reveal, and with me is...
Jen Toffel.
And with me is...
Scott Bates.
My husband. So, he don't like to be called apprentice. I don't know what to call him.
No, I don't mind being
we can come up with a good name if he keeps pissing me off. How's that? So...
The journeyman,
whatever.
not the master.
Not after your last name, or not before your last name. Anyways, you didn't hear that, but so
and we're on.
Yeah, y'all just been waiting for us.
Okay, welcome.
Yeah, the dude.
There we go.
Good. Kimberly calls you the dude.
I'll be known as the dude.
Maybe I should. Anyway, we're glad to have you here.
The dude. There we go.
We're glad to have you, but as far as promoting ourselves, we are the Medicine Women. And there's a lot of things coming up, Halloween for one, and there's a lot of energies that we have been told that we have to dislike, and we have to behave a certain way, and we have to believe a certain way. And we've been breaking form and saying, no, we don't need to, and a lot of people have been rebelling and moving forward. But what happens when you had enough and that fuel of being anger to conquer what it is you need to conquer? And if that fuel does not get fizzled out, then you carry that as a baggage to the next part of your life. Whether it is in a relationship, a job, somewhere it's going to show back up. And all your soul is asking you when this happens, because you project it to happen, all that you're causing to happen is you to point to what you have to look at. The negativity is a pointer. It's saying, oh, look, right here. It's repeating. And people think, oh, well, that's not really negative. No, it's a cause. I'm fighting for a cause. Okay, but your inner world creates your outer world. What does that mean? If your inner world creates your outer world and you're fighting for a cause, what does that say about your inner world? What do you think, Jen?
So it's about, because I am somebody who I've gone to several... I am somebody that's gone to several protests. When I was in theological school, when the war started, when we first went to Afghanistan and Iraq. Well, actually, the war in Iraq was 2002, 2003. So I was going to anti-war protests and all that kind of thing. But the energy's there. We don't want to take it. There's a common... I don't want to say enemy, but there's something to fight against, that we don't believe in this, so we're going to stand up and say, we don't believe in this, we don't support it, we need to make a change. So it's been a way, in our group consciousness, to make a change, to stand up, to make a change, to say, I see this in my world, I don't want to take it anymore, and I'm going to fight the system. That's the way that my family was raised, was to get involved in the system, get involved, make a change, vote, do what you can to make the changes. It's all been external.
And we've been taught that we need to physically apply ourselves to make a difference. Sometimes that physically applying means that we need to go to the inner world. And the inner world doesn't mean you have to meditate. You can just listen to what your soul says. If there's a negativity in your life, it's an arrow pointing to that energy loss. And that it's important that you take care of it. Believing, like when my husband was believing that I was ornery, and I'm cranky, I'm against him. And I said, go in there and tap that. Usually that's every man's dream. For the wife to say,
she was
go in there and
referring
tap
to meridian tapping as a healing tool.
And I was referring to a joke, but yes, that's exactly true. So,
yes.
So he's in the other room tapping and healing, and again, that filter of how he had to see me one way, and it wasn't even me. I was a projection of something he had picked up when he was younger, and it disappeared. His eyes, to be able to see me differently, had to take place when he physically took and applied something. So if you really want change in this world, you have to decide how you're going to define it, and your inner world will tell you how, because you'll feel it move. You feel the desire. You feel angry. You need to know the truth. You need to stop this. Well, then you need to, first get rid of the energy that says that you have to protest, fight. You know, this energy helps you conquer, but it's also telling you that your belief system is based on the fact that you have loss, grief, separation. Eventually, that's what we're going to get to. And once you heal the anger of it, then all of a sudden you'll be directed to make the change. Why? Because it's become effortless. You're caught at nucleus, that part of your brain that governs fear. Well, you have physically created a solution how to overcome the fear. But we're telling you that if you learn to use a healing tool, you not only overcome the fear, you'll take and use what's our natural process of joy, because only joy or fear will live in the caudate nucleus. The natural part, the effortless part, will start shining through. You will start problem solving, taking that third option. I was looking at a maze today, and as I was looking at the picture of the maze, there is a way to get there, or not to. So there was two choices. The third choice was, let's chew down the walls, knock them all down, and just make a straight path, beeline to where we need to go, instead of having to go into this rat race of crawling through the mazes and trying to figure out how to get out and how to get there and not get hurt. Well, let's just bulldoze things over and get to where we're going. There is a third option. And what we're saying is that you are the one that attracts the stuff in your field. You have an attraction factor. The law of attraction states that your inner world creates your outer world. It is what you attract. So if you're attracting hell, then first, know it's a sign of energy loss. Second, you have the tool to disrupt this and say, hey, I really don't need this. You can change it. So why did I start out strong? By telling you this, election time's coming. Everybody says, no, you're supposed to take this side. No, you're supposed to take this side. And really, neither side sound good. So where's the third option? We're not allowed to really have a third option. We have a hierarchy, and that's the way we're supposed to be. But if we allow ourselves to say, okay, you know what? I know for a fact that the angels arrange my day. I know the universe works in helping me get in line with what I need to do. So if I believe the government is to distrust the government, I'm going to heal that out. Because there is a hierarchy there, that there is a positive factor. Somewhere it's called teamwork. Somewhere there's a third option. Like helping people move forward. Most of these jobs people need their money. Well, everybody needs money to live, but it depends on how you do the exchange. For me, propelling somebody forward is also helping me, you know, not so that I would dim my light so you can have fame. No, we're going to end up propelling each other forward. If you allow yourself to not see it as a competition, but a way to help you get up over a wall. It's like, well, I got to stand on your shoulders, and then if I can hold onto this point, and if you can climb onto me and climb up, we're going to eventually get over that wall. We're going to learn to propel each other forward to the state of where we both want to be, which is happiness. We don't have to, and as I was telling about the other radio show, these kids, I forgot to look it up, is that they said, oh, we have this bag of candy, and they put it next to a tree, and they told all these kids, first one there gets it, and they all took hands, and they all ran there together, and so they all got to share the food, and the candy, and the snack. Why? Because there is a tradition, and I can't remember the actual word, but they want to make sure nobody suffers. Nobody has to go without. Everybody gets something. So instead of having a downline of trying to get people to come in and they spend their money and then you look at your sales and say, look, I did it. Instead, what I'm doing is that we propel each other forward. As I start interviewing people, if they start telling people about what I do, and that also helps me and it helps them, to the point where we're all going to start to become family and start to do teamwork and moving forward in the direction we need to go. So, does this make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. If you have the belief systems, your belief systems will show you your decisions. And if you're not sure where and what you're doing, then just pay attention to your life. Just sit back and observe. Are you happy? Some people say, yeah, I'm happy, but I'm tired of working. I wouldn't really call that happy then, would you? There's this thing called the Wheel of Life, and eventually I'm going to be able to put it up on my page. But the Wheel of Life, it looks like a pie or a chart that shows that each spoke of the wheel represents facets of your world. You know, there's the education facet, there is the job, the relationship, the health, and the spirituality. And each one of these, and a scale from 0 to 10, and if you said, oh, money is a 2, and you want it to be a 10, you want it to be overflowing, but it's a 2, and you have your spirituality is a 10. Okay, so where are you focusing more on versus not focusing on. And sometimes when you have something that's that out of whack, then this is where the universe calls a path switch. It's definitely where your spirit stops and says, wait a minute, take what you're pointing at is negative or something that's lacking, and now we want you to either stop looking at it and put your attention somewhere else while we arrange it your path, or we want you to look at it, be honest, and then make those hard choices of physically choosing to move forward. At the same time, for example, when Jen and I both decided we couldn't be in relationships with the men that we were in, I knew that the path switch was coming. And I would look back and I'd say, on a scale from 0 to 10, how's your relationship with your husband? Oh, it's a 10, it's good. But I also had to feel him being angry every day, or resentment. And that also then started to bring the number down. But I had believed that I'd worked really hard on keeping the relationship alive and healthy. And then finally I thought, you know what, I can't take it anymore. So I stopped, I turned. What area do I need to look at? As I've tried to heal this, what am I going to look at? So I looked at something else, and then I turned around and the universe had rearranged it so my husband's arms were open to me. He's like, you know what? Let's change this. Let's heal this. Let's move together. Let's go into the direction together. As long as he kept his authenticity, I said, yes, you can come with me and we'll do this together. And that is a sort of path switch. And sometimes you have to look at the hardship. Jen had to face her hardship of her relationship. So her path switch was, all right, you finally are going to have to look at it and heal some stuff, and then just you have to take and apply something. And so she did. Now, her husband bowed out. But what she did was to get the courage to stand up and say, I don't like this. I just can't live this way. And in his mind, everything's going great. What the hell are you trying to do? And you're saying, I'm unhappy. I don't want to do this all the time. And he had all these rules that said, no, you're supposed to, if I work outside the house, you're supposed to do all this. If I'm your husband, you're supposed to take care of me. And it was like there was no give and take. It was all just one dream being alive and being living, and it was his dream, and she had to make sure that she pampered it. Now, he's a great guy, just not with Jen.
Right. I mean, I don't want, he and I just didn't work together. He is a great guy, and he's in a different relationship and providing and that kind of thing, and that's fine. It was just exactly what you said as far as the dream. That was his dream. I mean, one of our mutual friends that actually got us together spent time with him and his family before I was even in the picture, and they would sit around and talk about, you know, my ex finding somebody and having a family and having the babies and this, that, and the other thing. And so everything was focused on that. We got to get you to have this thing, this dream. And so then somehow I fit in the equation, and then I just became that dream. I was fueling their dream and their reality of what was supposed to be taking place.
And what was interesting is that it's what you call faulty core desire. And this is a desired feeling that is made up by the group consciousness that this is what your family is supposed to be. I'm a woman. When I graduate, I am supposed to marry, have babies, have an education, work, take care of whatever it is. But my pattern was, if you have babies, then you're supposed to get divorced and then take care of the babies, and you're stuck with the hell. And I'm like, what? And I started to notice, I go, no, I don't have to be divorced. I don't have to raise kids by myself. But then I didn't learn it until after I gave birth twice that I had an option. I didn't have to have kids. But it was one of those core desires and beliefs. Jen, honest to God, thought she wanted to be pregnant and have a baby. And then when she finally started to realize what her soul wanted her really was that she didn't want kids. And when she had to tell her husband that, he basically said, oh, you came into this marriage under false pretenses. You promised this, this, and this, and this. You can't change your mind. And she goes, but I'm being honest with myself.
I'm being honest with you. And I said, this was after the tubal pregnancy that ended up having to be terminated. I got the courage to just be real and honest, and I said, do you want me to hide this from you? Do you want me to not say what's going on in my mind? Do you want me to sit here and just pretend? And he said, no, I don't want you to pretend. I said, well, then you need to know what's going on with me. And he said, and then he said all that stuff about this, that, and the other thing, and you promised to do this, and if you don't do this, and you're not holding up your end of the deal, and da-da-da-da-da. So we're just going to try to have kids, and if we have kids, we have kids, and if we don't, we don't. And it was like...
But it was great that he understood, but he also put another stipulation. We're going to have sex and make sure that you get pregnant, regardless if she didn't want to have a baby. It was still under his terms. And to the point where, what? I just said I don't really want to have kids. It's not that I can't have kids, because in their marriage, it was him that was having the physical problem of having kids. Mm-hmm. And he kept trying to blame it on her for so long until the doctor said, oh, it's not her, honey, it's you. And that was a hard pill to swallow, mm-hmm, as well for him. And I was just trying to find tubal pregnancy. So we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to look up this tubal pregnancy, and so we can find out what the meaning, or the tubal pregnancy represents life as. So we'll be back after this. What we're going to do, we're going to talk about what life, or what this is, represents life as. And in this case, she had a tubal pregnancy. And so this represents life as where you find, or what are you doing here? Okay, first of all, a tubal pregnancy. Do you want to explain what that is?
Okay, so the experience of being pregnancy, so your hormones kick in and all that kind of stuff, and there's the beta, the HCG, I believe, is what is supposed to magnify throughout the pregnancy to make sure that you're having a healthy pregnancy and that those levels are continuing to go up. So took the pregnancy test, found out I was pregnant, went in, confirmed, yay, all that good stuff, and then started feeling like really bad cramps, really bad cramps. And so the office said, oh, well, that isn't normal. It can happen, but we should probably have you checked out. So I went in to check out what was going on, and then the beta level, the HCG hormone, was just leveling off. It had plateaued at a certain level, and it was no longer magnifying or accelerating like it was supposed to during the pregnancy. So then they said, oh, well, we should probably do an ultrasound to figure out what's going on. And so we did, and then they found out that there were I think there could have been twins, but whatever you wanted, the little cells that were in there, they saw the little blobs, you know, all this technical science terms. But then in the pictures, and so then met with the doctor, and they said, oh, and she said, oh my gosh, you're probably, you know, you came in to see what was going on, and now all of a sudden you're finding out that this pregnancy is probably going to have to be terminated. Yeah. So it was like, woo!
All the excitement that, yay, they're pregnant, too.
Right. Not. And all the anticipation and the hope and everything, and oh my gosh, we're going to have to be preparing this, that, the other thing in the house. And then, yeah, and so then it was for my safety. I mean, for a tubal pregnancy, it is a pregnancy that is taking place outside of the womb, where it's supposed to be, and so it needed to be terminated. And so then they did that with a form of chemotherapy to take care of it. Because
if you would have had the baby there, you would have just died.
Right.
Because there was no room for growth. It is interfering in her
both would have died.
Right, because the baby has a designated home, and that place was not it. Now, you have to remember, a faulty core desire is in the mental part of your brain that you're hooked into the group consciousness, this is the rules, this is what's going on. You know, like I said, I didn't even know I had a choice that I could be pregnant. Now, do I regret having kids? No. I am thankful I had them. I regret giving birth. That hurt. But I didn't know that I could say no. No, I'm glad I didn't, because I had a great shift of consciousness. And actually, I was told I couldn't have kids. And then, wham, you're pregnant a month after you get married. What? It didn't happen with the first husband. What do you mean? And then, wham! About a year and a half, 2 years later, oh, you're pregnant again. Seriously? I had healed myself so much that now I'm just going to be fertile myrtle? Oh, no! Okay? It changes your whole world. Now, I didn't mind being pregnant. I like that part. But it was the giving birth part that my body said, oh, hell, we ain't doing that.
can the babies levitate out? I was really focusing
on that,
I was going to
developing.
become some kind of master of some kind that was going to be able to levitate the baby out. I was not looking forward to that.
And so we have to have that desire, the core desire. Now, everybody wants love. We had baby dolls growing up, correct?
Yes.
And the baby dolls was something that was a nurturing part of yourself that wanted to have a baby. And then when I had a little younger sister, I'm like, oh, can I give it back? I don't want babies. They cry, they make noise, and they stink. And then they take and break everything of your stuff, and they slobber on everything. And no, I don't want any babies. And then I've noticed people that love having babies, love taking care of the babies, because the love that comes back is there. Mm-hmm. And that means that you've bonded. Now, some mothers and children don't bond. They don't create those chemicals in the brain to create a bonding experience. And then there's some kids that just have the desire to want to be loved, that they will have kids so they can have that give and take. And, so all these things. So, again, a core faulty desire is one that's there and says that you're supposed to have this desire. Being that she's a woman, she's going to carry that frequency. So it says, "What are you doing here?" In a dramatic statement. They are intensely ambivalent or rejecting of being pregnant. Consciously, did she want to be pregnant? No, she really wanted to be pregnant. My husband wants to be pregnant. I want to be pregnant. I want to have babies. My friends have babies. But go to that subconscious level. Go at the core level where her soul was. She come to me and she wanted help healing so she'd get pregnant. And I could not tell her, "Oh, darling, your soul don't want you to be pregnant." Because who am I to say that the pattern of the soul, the contract, wouldn't change? I said, okay, let's see what we can do. So we worked on healing to the point where, every avenue, every desire, I can't get pregnant because what he'll think, and then finally, when she had the tubal pregnancy, there was a part of her that realized, maybe I'm not supposed to be pregnant. Not that she was sad that she couldn't get pregnant. How would you explain it?
It felt like I came to terms with the feeling of this doesn't feel like it's my dream.
Yeah, okay.
It felt like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and the hope, and for the marriage, and this, that, the other, that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But my calling to do this work felt stronger than actually wanting to be pregnant.
And her ex-husband says, "You know what? I'll stay home with the child. You give birth, and then I'll stay home with the child, and you work and do all this." And the problem was that's what he was always trying to do. You work, I want to stay home. He was a good man at working, but she's like, "What? If I'm going to give all this time and effort to give birth, why can't I stay home to take care of the child?" And he had in his head, "No, I want a baby that bad. I want to take the care of the child. You can go to work." And it was taken again. Then she didn't even have the desire that she could have to take care of the kids, because he already told her that she's not going to be able to do that.
Right.
But yet she also knows that as soon as she gets home, she has to do everything, including taking care of the child.
Right. So then it would be working outside and then working inside the home, and then just
he just wanted to be the baby. He just wanted to take care of.
It was a complete prescription for total burnout.
And then all of a sudden, when she finally hit the stage of, is this really my desire? Because when you're with somebody, desires increase. It's like you become a muse for the other person to some degree. And so when she's around him and she felt his desire, it kind of was exciting because you're husband and wife, and yeah. And then you realize, wait a minute, is this even my dream? So sometimes we carry those desires and these faulty cores, and they really need to be magnetic out, healed out, or changed. Let's go a little further. Like I said, what are you doing here? They are intensely ambivalent or rejecting of being pregnant. Of being pregnant in these circumstances, which is what she ended up being too. In these circumstances? No. And of being pregnant with this child. Now, in this case, she didn't have that. She didn't, did you bond at all during that time?
With the potential baby?
Yeah.
I felt like I was. Mm-hmm. And that I had.
But she wanted it. It wasn't, I don't want this child. No. She wanted it, but yet...
Not in those circumstances.
Right. The result is that the fertilization happened without the womb.
Outside the womb.
I read that wrong. Happened outside the womb. This rare and dangerous occurrence reflects either the massive intent of the soul of the child and or the universe to have this pregnancy occur despite or perhaps even because of the mother's intense resistance. I'm having trouble reading. For the soul's and destiny purposes. And so she was born to be someplace else. She was born to be doing someplace else. Now, give her 10 years, she may end up adopting, or she may end up, I doubt if she'll be pregnant in 10 years, but her face.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
No.
But the point is, there's a part of her that gets to say, wait a minute, I get to have a choice.
Right, and I do a lot of youth work.
Yeah, so those are all her kids.
Those are all my kids.
How many kids are going to have in this coming weekend?
Oh,
It started out with maybe a few.
Right.
I got a huge ass van.
Right, now we've got a big passenger van that's going to be taking the kids out of town, and so it's going to be the largest group that I'm personally, that I've driven to this type of event. And typically we have an average of around 20 kids. Their ages 10 to 13. And so there's a potential for at least that much, if not 25, 30 kids for the weekend.
And how many kids you hauling?
8.
And you got how long in the car? Or the passenger van?
It's only 2.5 hours.
Oh, that ain't nothing. I kept thinking you had to go to the Maine or
No,
someplace.
no.
So she does different events with her group, different ages
Right.
and stages.
Right, and so the impact that I have on these children is what I want to have, and the legacy that I want to leave in the world. I don't feel like I need to birth children in order to make the change that way.
Yeah, and for me, my kids are going to make the difference with or without me. It doesn't matter. I know that I have, if I'm going to make the change in the world, it's because it's my choice. Is it my mother's? No, I'm thankful that she ended up having me, but I could have had some other mother birth me. It doesn't matter to some degree. What does matter is that, are you listening to yourself? Are you able to hear? Because that soul that's supposed to come in is not like it's never going to come in. It will just find someone else.
Right.
It'll do what it's supposed to do. And please, let's not shame the women that choose to not have kids. They are born not to have them because they are meant to do something else. And in the Bible, it's, gotta have procreate. You gotta be the one to give birth. You gotta do this. And if you're at the end of the world, you're the only woman, guess what? You're gonna have 20 kids. You're gonna have to, that's a lot of frickin' pressure. And who's gonna help you raise these kids? A lot of people don't want to.
Right.
So again, the tubercular pregnancy represented life as, what are you doing here? And part of you knew, in a way, that you just didn't want it. Now, you have to understand, from the soul's point of view, that was coming in, if it had a chance to encounter, then it was only supposed to live for that length of time. Now, a lot of times the baby's soul will come and go. So she could be pregnant without having the baby incarnate inside the womb. Okay? The physical body, the moment that the baby starts being born, there's consciousness that can be born. The soul could be already there. But again, it all depends. We don't know enough on, and there's so many different levels of existence. So a lot of times my daughter would come and go. I'd swear to God she was with me one minute and the next minute, I know I'm pregnant, but I don't feel a baby in there. I didn't feel her soul because she's off traveling, doing what she got to do. Oh, you know what? I got all this work to do before I can be born on this planet. And she would come and go. And I'd be like, oh my God, I haven't had movement in 2 days. And all of a sudden, finally, I would have movement. And I'm like, oh, she's back. So she was already busy doing what she needed to do on this planet. So it's important that we pay attention to all these little things. And getting rid of shame. Shame and guilt is usually the two main characters that are going to keep separation involved. That's going to keep you fighting and not having relationships. It's going to take that wheel of life and not have you fulfill what you need, because one way or the other, those emotions are going to be in play. When my husband and I were getting back together, did he have to use guilt and shame on me? No. Did I have to use guilt and shame on him? No. We brought things to the table. Yes, you have these feelings. Now let's tap them out. Let's change that frequency so that it doesn't help us bond on enemy terms. I mean, the men that are coming in that seeing me and they need help with their life is that they're sitting there upset. These women that they're attracting in their life literally have hell going on. They want a relationship, these women, but yet they can't be just a typical housewife. And then all of a sudden these men will get stuck with a woman that sits there and cheats on them. Okay? And the same for vice versa. I've had to where men, usually before it was all women would come in and the men were cheating on them. And it's in a way, on some level, on a group consciousness, it's karma. You know, and it's like, oh, geez, really? When can we actually be done and create this settling down? And so it's just to me, I watch these men and they're heartbroken. And they go and they get back with this person, and I watch how the tug of war of relationship, all relationships are, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. But the moment you take an offense, you all of a sudden become objects instead of a person. What do I mean by that?
Okay, oh man, because my former pet, and I don't want to sound like an animal hater because
Okay,
I'm not.
Raise your voice.
I'm not. I don't want to sound like an animal hater. I love the dog in the house. I love animals. There were times when the animal would misbehave, and I just saw it as a dog. I didn't see the puppy dog eyes with the soul and the love and the everything that he had to offer. I just saw it as, whoa, why did you do this?
Yes.
You did this, and I'm really pissed off. And that's all I would see it as the cause of doing this. I wouldn't see it as the loving, puppy dog.
Mm-hmm. And you do, the object. And then the object becomes, your feelings need to be resolved, and that's the false self-assuredness. So immediately you have to get that thing, that dog, that person, that whatever it is, and you got to poke at it until it gives you what you want, which is if you're in pain, you kind of almost want the other person to be in pain. Good, now you feel it, I feel, okay, I feel better. That never works. But a lot of the time, we are trying to get that pain we have inside of us resolved and processed, and because we don't have a healing tool to process, we then try to do it the old-fashioned way. You have to make me feel better now. First of all, no one needs to make you feel better. You're the only one that can make you feel happy or better. But you can learn how to process instead. So the relationship becomes a very strong give and take. 1 minute it's like high school relationships. Oh, I love you, I love you. We're holding hands. Next minute, I hate you, I hate you. And then we broke up, and all of a sudden we're back together again. And there's like a love-hate relationship, and it becomes a boomerang effect. Literally, it's those issues that never got to resolve. But you can't live without the person because this becomes the object of your affection. Because at one way, you had a pathway that said they loved you. And so you keep going back to that, rehearsing that you were loved. And that person filled that thing, that love, and so far you can't get it from anybody else. That person. So now I have to go back to this crappy relationship and say, you don't even know why you're doing it.
Because I knew at one point in time they said they loved me or that they cared about me or they
Felt
wanted
it
to
once.
Felt it once, and I'm going to go back to that.
Yes. We're going to take a small break, and we'll come back to that. Back on. And so is the recorder. We are going to have a Halloween show. So, yeah, you thinking of radio, you wouldn't be able to see us. But, we always videotape them. So Jen and I are coming up with costumes. And hopefully we will come up with some good ones. And we got to do it twice because we're going to be on Monday. And Wednesday we're going to be on. So, because we're not having a Friday, or we're not going to do it on Friday because Halloween will be over. So, what are we going to decide on Wednesday's costumes?
Wednesday costumes?
Yes.
Actual Halloween?
Yeah.
I got it. It'll be exciting for our YouTube audience to see if I fit in my costume.
Do tell!
I was going to say that. Tell us about this costume. What kind of costume do you have, Jen?
It's like, never mind.
And I heard some jingling last night. What was that about?
Oh, that was me trying on my costume.
Santa Claus walked by the house. So,
oh, thanks.
That was still
I bought this dress a few years ago, and it's, what do you want to call it? It's
a corset?
Corset, kind of like black
it squeezes
and red.
in, and then the boobs shoot up the top?
Sure.
You sure it wasn't a nightgown? It's an actual dress?
It's an actual dress with a skirt.
Oh my, oh my.
And then I have a mask to go with it. So
yeah, like nobody's been looking at your eyes, honey.
Oh well. The mask is up here.
And so I'm not sure what exactly I have. Do you know I'm going to have a red cape with
Wonder Woman. Speaking of corsets.
I haven't decided how I'm going to do my hair or my makeup or anything. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna like. I think I'm gonna have black gloves on. I haven't decided. I haven't really put any money into costumes, but you'll have to see us. Now, it's not fair that we really, because we probably should tell them what we're going to be wearing on Monday's show.
Well,
like right now, I look like a pumpkin because I got this big orange shirt on. But
they need to become a subscriber on our YouTube channel so then they can see.
And
Yes,
where is
I
this
would
YouTube
say, I would
channel?
leave it at that.
YouTube.com/Medicine Women Reveal.
All one big fat word.
One word.
Sorry.
Not
Skinny or fat. We don't have any descriptives. Anyway, so they can become a subscriber on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. So but our costumes for Monday kind of fell together, so that works.
They fell.
Yeah. So what are we gonna do? No, don't get me going. We always play the association game, and she has this one friend that don't like buttons, and so I'll say his name. So we're gonna stop that, Jen.
Correct.
Okay. So now let's look at. My pendulum is going in offensiveness. Okay. Courting. Which one? No, saboteuring. Removed one at a time. I didn't finish. Okay, offensiveness. And a lot of people, this is familiar to you, is like all of a sudden you feel like you're stabbed in the back. Or you feel something just isn't right and you feel hurt. A saboteur can be yourself. And a saboteur can be somebody that is just so aimed at you to just throw darts, daggers, and knives into your direction. These literally, or I should say non-physical items do affect the energetic body. Okay, so you end up removing these particular items and location and the type. So if you felt, like I had this one woman that tried to steal my kids years ago, and I always felt this pain in my neck, and I always felt like there was a noose around my neck, and lo and behold, I think there was part of her that always dreamed about choking me to death. So I had gone through to my one teacher, and she said, "Oh my God, we need to take that off of you." And I says, "What?" She says, "Well, it looks like you got a noose around your neck, and somebody's waiting to hang you, or make you hang yourself." And I said, "Seriously?" And so when I didn't follow through and do the healing, and then lo and behold, I had encountered her. You have to be all nicey, and literally my neck started to hurt. Now, the power of suggestion can be harmful, but at the same time, I also recognize when it's like when you're being raised. Oh, just let them screw up and let them hang themselves. And it started to make more sense because I could see how it was fitting in my world. So I went back and I said, okay, let's remove it. And as we physically and spiritually removed this, my neck stopped hurting. I would always get a pain like in the seventh cervical right there by your shoulders, and that's where the knot had, or the way, how, like my husband was telling me, we were watching a show where somebody was trying to be choked by the copy machine, and he goes, you can't get choked by a copy machine if the cord is on the back of your neck.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was pulling on the back, and in the front where the throat was, it was loose.
And it didn't tighten it up; it was very loose.
Yeah.
and
It's like pulling against your spine, your backbone, and didn't
okay.
work. But it was a TV show or whatever, so.
But it's where the pressure is, but it felt like the noose and the knot was, all of it was pushing right there, and it was a constant pain. And when we loosened that and took it off, it was like that pain had been released out of that muscle, because you have muscle memory. What do I mean by that, Jen?
So when you have an experience in your life and your body had a physical reaction to it, your muscles are still holding on to it. I remember you did craniosacral to interact with the fascia of my body and took out a lot of the car accidents and other type of neck and other type of injuries around my neck from whiplash and other such things. So there were muscle memories from the car accidents that I had been in.
And can you remember, it was so long ago, but could you remember the effects that it was having, the side effects of having all that muscle memory of pain in there?
I had migraines all the time. I don't know if those were related or not, but I had migraines quite often. I wouldn't be able to turn my neck fully, you know, the fact that I could turn my neck side to side, my chiropractor from way back would be really excited, because she would always try to get me to do that because of the injuries.
Correct. And so I know that now she doesn't really show any disturbances up and down her spine or in her neck. Now, see, before I would see it and I'm like, okay, I feel like her feet were like about for a whiplash anyway. Right. It'll feel like that you're about 2 inches or an inch off the ground. I'll let you explain.
Well, they asked, my chiropractor also saw that I had an S curve in my back too, which was affecting my gait, my walk.
So do you have that now?
Oh.
No, you haven't gone back? Can you tell your walk's better?
Yes.
I could kick you in the butt because if you walk better.
Oh, okay, that's exciting.
Drumming up business. Okay. The whiplash, the thing how I see the whiplash is, like I said, it literally looks like your feet are about 1 inch to 2 inches off the ground. And it creates this, when you whiplash, the ungrounding of the feet happens, so the connection of the earth, you know, it's like when you go up in the airplane. And people go on the airplane, they come and land, their energetic body never really connects with the earth, because you have your 12 or 14 meridians that are on your physical body. Well, then you also have the same meridians in the earth as well as in the universe. So you have to keep reacclimating, and if you're really having problems, I would say balance the stomach meridian, tap out the stomach pointer, which is on top of your cheekbones, retracing the stomach meridian to help you reground yourself. But for whiplash, the only way that I've noticed to actually help is that you can help with the stomach meridian because it's that connection to earth, but you literally have to have the person stand next to you and your whole, like we're not going to stand, but in the video is that I have my side, when I'm facing you, and your shoulder, your side of you is I would be hugging into you, okay?
Right, we're perpendicular.
Yes, and what you have to do is you literally have to lift them off the ground so that their brain will flip into that, oh, what just happened? Knowing that the sensory system in your brain, it's like when you go in an airplane and you're flying upside down, it'll feel like you're upside right. Because your sensory system doesn't realize that it's not out of sync. And so that's why a lot of times the flyers, people that are in airplanes have to really learn how to navigate without instruments as well as with instruments, because there's such a significant difference. But with whiplash people, it happens in the neck, it disconnects the energy pattern of the brain and the body, so it feels like the brain's in charge and they're waiting for the body to energetically connect up. And so, you know, I have to lift them on both sides to get the brain to, oh, wait a minute, redistribute that it is not in that car accident, you know, or whatever whiplash you got. I hope that makes sense. But saboteur is when you have things that are many.
We were talking about muscle memory.
Yes.
About the things that feels like you have a muscle memory, but it also, we were talking about people interacting with us. Darts and knives, I mean, so many times do people talk about, oh, I feel like that person, they're shooting their daggers coming out of their eyes. They're throwing knives in my back. I feel like they are going to knife me in the back or stab me in the back or whatever. All those expressions are so popular.
Because there is truth to them.
Right.
Well, like I said there before, we don't realize how important thoughts are and how we interact. We think we've protected. And I've muscle tested many people on this. When your egg, the governing meridian and the central meridian, is down, one will feel vulnerable, the other one will feel paranoid. Now, in the Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson, which is a very good book to get, your thoughts affect others. It says, your thoughts originate from your spirit intelligence, and you have found or have profound effects on those around you. Your thoughts are energy, and you're continually radiating from your body without limits. It says the energy of your thoughts and feelings exert to subtle energy and subtle effects on other people as well as other forms of life. We're constantly making contact with others whether we realize it or not, since all energy is continuous and connected. And he explained, a patient named Linda came to me suffering from chronic fatigue syndrome. She expressed to me that the symptoms of her illness started after she began sharing a cubicle with a very negative woman at her office. This woman was constantly seething about one thing or another. Linda felt that this woman's negative energy had triggered the downward spiral of her health. Now, again, oh, you're just blaming. Take responsibility for yourself. Well, in some cases, there are people that are really sensitive of picking these things up. Now, let me just see if this is messages in water. We talked about that before. Like he says, ancient healers had profound understanding of this power of thought. In many seminars, I would use a simple test to illustrate how thoughts can have a powerful effect on another person's mind and body, even at a distance. I have a volunteer stand at the front of the room with his back to the audience. I perform a quick baseline muscle test and make sure he is testable by having him say love and then pressing down gently but firmly on his outstretched arm. This should give a strong muscle response, and he should be able to resist my downward pressure without any trouble. Then I have him say hate, and again I press down on his arm, which now is weakened, making him unable to resist. Now, some of you may try this at home. Jen, move your arm, honey. Say love. Love. Nice and arm is stretched. It's nice and firm. Now say hate. Hate. Now, hers started to hesitate but went down. Now, what I will tell you is we're going to test for water. So her arm should remain strong. If I pull just a little bit on her hair, look, she don't have enough water in her system. So it can affect the testing. Okay? So it's so important to know. Now, there is what's called inversion, where good is evil and evil is good. So let me have your arm. Now say love.
Love.
He's nice and strong. Now say hate.
Hate.
Hate. And his arm doesn't go down. Now, I'm going to check polarity-wise. Yeah, he's fine. But he has a belief system somewhere in there that is confusing for him. And let me check. Put your arm down for a minute. Let me see if I can find the right one. What are you laughing at? Or what are you?
I don't know. It's
energy?
somebody's energy is something playing with me or something.
Okay, talk about that while I'm looking.
Do tell.
Right, this is a radio.
And how are they playing with you, Jen?
I don't know. They're tickling the top of my head or something.
So it was about the fact when I said good is evil and evil is good. Now, why would a man so loving? Why would a man so loving? Why would this happen? Well, hold on. I typed this down and now I've got to remember where I put the darn thing. Let's see.
What do you find?
It's what's called a post-hypnotic suggestion, negative statement in a subconscious mind, which can result in an inversion, where people will test positive for negative things. Okay? So, in this case, if we hold up and we say, evil is good.
Evil is good.
See, if that's not it. I was just giving the example. Say, good is evil.
Good is evil.
No. So this is a negative thing that he thinks is positive. Okay.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So is that the conditioning of how he received love as a child?
Yes, because I just went in and I said, is it lung, thyroid, heart? And it is how, if it's love equals something. So love equals being yelled at, punished, ignored. Love equals being ignored. So that means I have to give him a certain amount of ignoring so that he can feel loved. At the same time, his ignoring will be described as the adult of going, she don't love me.
Okay.
It's confusing. But it's a post-hypnotic suggestion somewhere that somebody said, be quiet and be good, or whatever. Told you something. We would have to find it and discover it.
The person that he bonded with, known as his mom, I know from stories, ignored, or he just wanted that affection, or just wanted that nurturing or something like that, but didn't receive it. And so my sense is that on some level, there's that conditioning of knowing that the person that he wanted to bond with, that loving energy, wasn't going to feed that.
Well, what I see is a prickly woman, but very loving. I couldn't hug her. And when I forced myself to hug, Mom, give me a hug. she would literally curl up like a little porcupine, or I should say an armadillo, and then I would try to hug her. Now you have to remember I'm tall and she's short, so it's like I'm patting a rock. I've tried to. I'm going to give her a hug anyway, but she's not used to receiving
We do
love.
not have a huggy family.
A demonstrative
Exactly. You don't have a huggy family.
family.
So, and that's nothing. Say that word again, Jen, and describe it.
Demonstrative?
Yeah, and I'll explain what that means.
What?
Demonstrating. You
Okay.
you do an act of demonstrating what love is. A hug is a demonstrative act.
Okay. Now, what I think would be cool is if Karen actually called in and gave her 2 cents. Since she's typing in the chat room, I think she's referring to us. Now, there is different wavelengths and different belief systems, so we're both right. But it's so important to notice that there's different avenues, different things that is happening out there.
Right.
Extremely important. But if she'd like to participate, we would love you to. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.